This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
And push the button, otherwise this won't appear to be interesting.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chicago. Oh, the humanity. Film at 11.
This is terrible! This is horrible! You gotta stay tuned to Wretched Radio!
Easy there, big fella.
Sorry, I've been watching too much of the cable news. Everything is a panic. What you put in, it's what is going to come out. This story from the New York Post, it actually might infuriate you a wee bit, especially if you can't have children. This is going to cause you to be consternated. But perhaps, maybe, just maybe, rather than getting agitated, downright furious, we can understand why it is that these particular people that were interviewed for this particular article have such a horrible perspective on their own children. Headline: Can parents survive months of hell as the coronavirus cancels summer camps?
Bum, bum.
No! I have to spend 2 weeks with my kids this summer. It's going to be eternal conscious torment. The attitude toward children. Ay, 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 ay. And yet, as I read this article in the New York Post, as I have to confess to you,
Did you get all squishy and understanding?
I didn't get squishy, but I got understanding. All right,
Okay.
but it is not my natural propensity. I suspect it isn't yours either. I read a headline like that, and I'm just like, what? You consider summertime with your children to be hell? Is there a stronger word or experience they could have chosen for this? Well, it does reflect the attitude of the parents that were interviewed for this, and yet when they gave details, it didn't cause me to lighten up on the subject or go, you know what? Now I understand. Yes, it is that bad with kids. No, I didn't change my mind about it, didn't change my attitude about it, but at least I got some understanding, and I think you will be a little bit more understanding and perhaps agitated at the same time. I'm reading through this article.
Got the agitated.
Interviewing parents, a bunch of them. See if you can catch this. New York Post. I almost cried. It's a bad blow, said a Forest Hill mom, because her 11-year-old son had camp canceled, a sleepaway camp at the SciTech Academy, which runs $3,450 to $4,750 per session. Well, Fred Sanford, I didn't mean to give you a heart attack over there.
How much do you want to get rid of your kids?
Real bad. Well, they've got tons of money,
Yeah.
clearly. They're living in New York City. That's from New York Post.
Yeah.
And they've got at least a kid, because they only mentioned one kid. She said, quote, "It's going to be bedlam, especially for us parents in the city because of camp closures, summer camp closures. He took it better than me because, quote, I'm going to be stuck with him." You're going to be stuck with your child. Let me tell you something, sister. I would see that as a profound joy. I would go back in time in a heartbeat and go through those years again. I adore my kids today. I adored them then. And to go through those sweet times with my kids again when they're home and they just look at you like you hung the stars and the moon. Would love to do. Hey, let's get in the car. Okay. They just, boop, up. Hey, Dad. It's just as sweet as it can possibly be. Not for this woman. It's going to be hell. Total bedlam, because I'm stuck with him. Wowza. The alternative, here's the article. A campground's tight bunk quarters, communal mess halls, and adult staff co-mingling are the stuff of social distancing nightmares. But the alternative is chilling. Really? Spending time with your children. Chilling. Not exactly the way that I see it. Quote from another person. A mom. I'm 100% in panic mode. Really?
Because their kids are going to be around.
12-year-old son who was set to attend the $14,000 Explo overnight summer program for the third straight year.
That's like 5 days rent in New York.
So this is the third. So 14,000. What is that? $42,000 for
Roughly.
3 years run. Okay. Doing some math on this. These are wealthy parents. They live in New York City. What's the priority for so many people in that town? Not all, but for so many. It ain't kids. They're almost like an accessory. But there are other things in life that are more important, like me. And me getting some me time. And they talk about that, these couples that are like, we were just going to be able to spend time together and alone and doing things and get a break from them and go out to dinner and see plays and shows compared to spending time with your kids. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand. They're healthy. I get that. That's not the thrust of this article. This is like the worst nightmare on the planet for these people. And I know why. It is because kids are not seen as the blessing from God that they are. They are not seen as being this incredible stewardship that we are given to raise them up in the fear and the admonition of the Lord. They are just seen as, well, they kind of serve me. And if I have to do too much work in this, I can't hire it out so that I can pursue my interests, then summertime without camp is going to be hell. Does it make it better? No. But when you are immersed in that worldview and that type of thinking, why are we shocked when the pagans are acting like pagans? That's what pagans do. And maybe having righteous indignation, I think it's appropriate along the way, but constantly simmering at these dopey liberals whose worldview is so stupid, maybe, just maybe, we can at least understand where they're coming from to a degree. If you were immersed in that type of thinking, you'd be inclined to have bad thinking too. And speaking of bad thinking, here's more. Pagans are acting like pagans again. Michael Moore says coronavirus is a warning before Earth gets revenge over climate change. Sorry, a little tickle in my throat right there. Michael Moore apparently thinks that the Earth, the planet, must have some sort of cognitive center to make decisions like this on his podcast. I didn't know he had one. Viruses are a part of nature. This is their planet too. I'm hearing that far too frequently. We're just sharing this planet with microbes. We're just sharing this planet with pets. We're just sharing this planet with a virus. This is their planet too. They are a form of life. And like another species I know well, they're killers. In other words, like human beings. So we're being compared to a virus. This current pandemic is simply Mother Nature giving us a gentle warning. And where exactly is Mother Nature hanging out, Mr. Moore? Where does she reside? What is her scale for weighing these issues, how we treat the planet? Is she at all discriminatory? Does she just go after the big polluters, people who fly around in private jets, have big homes in Michigan? Or does she go after everybody? And who formed Mother Earth? Where did she come from? This is a pagan worldview, the religion of environmentalism that we are seeing more and more. This is not the first celebrity to talk like this, to talk about, hey, this is the planet telling us enough. Really, the planet speaks through giving viruses. Where does this thinking happen? Is it in the center of the earth? Is it outside? It texts. It's far, far away on a planet far, far, and it texts the information to what receptor on earth? It's nonsense, but it's a pagan worldview, and we shouldn't be surprised when it gets bonkers. I really want all of you to please take this moment, said Michael Moore. Take this virus as Earth's slap on our collective face. Well, I think that's judgmental and intolerant of the mother. Treat it as if nature is trying to tell our species to back off, slow down, and change our ways so he can interpret viruses. I did not know that this man had the gift of exegeting current events. If you think, said Michael, COVID-19 has been a bummer, then trust me, You literally can't imagine just how awful Earth's revenge against us is going to be for trying to choke it to death. We are in a serious, multi-level, planetary emergency. Who knew? Well, apparently Michael knew. Why? Because he's untethered from God. He's untethered from the Bible. He's untethered from reality. And as annoying as this stuff is, and believe me, it is a great deal of work for me. This man, if he dies in his sins without Christ, is going to go to hell. And it's going to be a whole lot worse than living in New York City for a couple of weeks with your own children. Eternal conscious torment. This man needs saving really, really bad. And only when I remember that will I have any chance at all of doing what my Savior has commanded me to do. Love my neighbor, including bad parents in New York City and Michael Moore. Until tomorrow, go serve your king. Good evening, my fellow totally depraved Americans. Fear God, who has the power to kill you and cast you into hell, which is still eternal conscious torment, despite what liberal Lutherans would tell you.